Welcome to today's episode. My name is Suleiman Isiaku Muhammad, a sociologist and a behavioral analyst. Today, we'll proceed from where we stopped. In our previous discussion, we digest on the concept of culture, what it means. We said it is a total way of life of people living in a particular society, and culture and society always interwoven together. What makes society possible is the presence of culture, because culture determines the institutions and the structure that governs every activity and interaction in the society. Today we are going to look at the elements of culture, where we say that these elements are universal. In every culture you go, you find that it possesses these elements we are going to mention and discuss. Only that these elements, they vary in terms of traits when you go to every culture. But every culture must possess them before it becomes a culture. These elements are norms, values, beliefs, language, symbols, and tradition. Let's say customs. These are the basic elements in culture. So as we know, culture is diverse. It's in everywhere. Everywhere have their culture, but it differs. But every culture possesses norms, values, beliefs, symbols, language, and customs. Now let's start with the first one, norms. What does it mean? Different scholars, including Hochia 2010, try to define norms. But in a simple term, norms are rules that guides behavior. That's it. They are rules that guides what? Behavior. When we say norms in a particular culture, we mean the rules that directs our behavioral conducts. Each members of the society have an expected way of behavior, the guidelines of their do's and don'ts. These guidelines of do's and don'ts are called norms. What we should do and what we should not do. We call them norms as rules that guide behavior. Now, when an individual, for example, the norms will tell you, okay, when you meet elders, this is what you should do. When you are taken to an elderly person, this is how you should approach them. When you are given something for safekeeping, this is how you keep it. You must not use property that is not yours without the consent of the owner. All these are part of, we should not smoke Indian hemp. We should not be drug addicts. We should not be alcoholic. All these constitute the norms of what determine our do's and don'ts. Now, since we say norms are rules that guide behavior, these norms are divided into two. We have the morals and we have the folkways, which means the morals are the stronger aspect of the norms. That is the part of the norms that when violated may attract sanction or punishment. We call them what? Morals. For example, burglary, breaking an entry, stealing somebody's property. This is part of norms, but it's very strong. It's strong because it attracts penalty when you contradict it. When a behavior contradicts it, then the person involved might be punished or sanctioned. Then we have folkways. Folkways are simple aspect of norms, simple expectation of do's and don'ts, but breaking them or contradicting them might make an individual look deviant or be termed as deviant, but the individual will not be punished. For example, I am supposed to eat with my right hand. I can eat with my left hand because it's just folkway. It's something that will show that I am wrong, but I'm not going to be punished for that. I'm supposed to wear my right shoe on the right leg, my left shoe on the left leg. I might decide to put them otherwise, right on the left on the right. I'm deviating from the normal behavior, but it does not attract punishment. Then values. What are values? So many scholars also define value, like Griswold 2004. He tried to define value to a particular understanding. But if you put the definition of so many scholars together and summarize it, values are standard of measurement. They are standard of measurement between good and bad, right and wrong, desirable and undesirable. These are value. And every culture have its value. What do we mean? Standard of measuring what I desire, what I should desire for, and what I should not desire for. For example, desire for food, for example, is a value. In the Nigerian society, I may desire to eat, for example, tuwo miyar kuka, which is a value to me, is desirable in my culture. In the United States, it's different. I may be very, very hungry. I may seek for pizza, for example, as my lunch, which may not be desirable in the Nigerian society. So values are nothing but standards of measurement between what is right, what is good, and bad, what is beautiful and ugly, what is desirable and undesirable. Believe you me, in every culture, what they define as beautiful is different. Even look at the clothing we're wearing. The clothing we define as beautiful in Nigeria may not be the clothing the American person define as beautiful, may not be the clothing the German people define as beautiful. What is desirable to us, for example, it depends on value, because they are standard of measurement, the standard at which we measure what we deserve. Then, apart from value, we also have language, for example. It's a means of communication, channel of communication, either verbal or non-verbal. Every culture must possess language, because one of the function of culture is communication. It allows people of the same cultural identity to easily communicate with each other, and that communication method is called what? Language, the means of communication. Then we have symbol. What does symbol mean? Swida 1986 tried to define symbol. So many scholars try to define symbol, but what does it mean? When we say symbol, according to Lole 1994, he sees symbol as illustration. But symbol put together, symbol is anything that have meaning, and that meaning is shared and recognized by members of the society. When you say symbol, we mean anything that have meaning, and that meaning is shared by members of the society. It may be signs, it may be some color, some element, anything. But every member of the society, when they belong to that culture, they see them, they will understand them. Like red and green, they are symbol of stop and symbol of go on the way. So we have so many like this, but every culture has its own symbol. For example, in the typical Hausa society in Nigeria, when a lady wear a veil on her shoulder, it symbolizes, a small veil on her shoulder, it symbolizes, I am available, you can try me, I am still at the market. But when a lady wears a big veil on the head, she means I am married, be careful, don't try me. But only members of the Hausa culture will understand this. An European person might not know the symbol. So it's anything that has meaning, and the meaning is shared by members of the society. Then apart from symbol, we also have what we mean by customs and traditions. The way we do our celebrations, our celebrities, the kind of attires we do use, the kind of emirate design, the kind of leadership apparatus, all these, the kind of how we celebrate our marriages, how we celebrate our happiness, how we mourn our death, all these are part of our traditional traditions, and every culture has these traditions and customs. It's also another element in culture. Now we have then belief is the last one. What do you mean by belief? When we say belief, it means certain words that people hold to be true. That is the belief. That is, when we say belief, we are talking about certain things they hold to be true. A system of worship. A system of worship could be, that is, religious aspect. Those things they put in mind, only members of those culture believe in those things. They believe that those things are real, and when you do them, they believe on the consequences and they believe on the outcomes. That is why when we say belief, the definition is just certain words that people hold to be true about things. So these are the belief system. So which means that the elements of culture, of every culture, is what makes up the culture. It includes norms, which are rules that guide our behavior, values, which are standard of measurement between desirable and undesirable, good and bad, beautiful and ugly. Then language, which is a communication channel between one individual and another. Then symbol, which is anything that have meaning, and that meaning is shared and understood by members of the society. Then we have what? Belief, which is things we take to be true as members of a particular culture. These are the elements that makes up a culture, and every culture possesses this element. Only that the traits differ. The traits differ, which means if you go, the norms of the American society differ from the norms of the Nigerian society. Why? Because of cultural diversity. When we say cultural diversity, how the cultures differ, but they all have the norms themselves. So you find that culture plays an important role, you understand. It plays an important role in putting people together. So that's why we have so many things to learn on culture. So follow us next to get the concept of culture. Thank you for listening.